this is valid too much. One thing I do know is like the energy that this, and you're really on target. You're focused on the things that you need to be. Quite possibly, so like a tunnel vision. Oh, you know, you're gearing up towards that. Yeah, you're gearing up towards that. What I was getting like is a Transformers vibe. So that's the energy that I was getting. I can use that as it had like some shading, whatever that is called, in the background. Right, hopefully you guys have been feeling good, feeling good, smelling good, eating good, drinking good, thinking good thoughts, having a good time, sharing energy with good people in good places, doing good things. And let's see up here. Yeah, you're focused on like your future endeavors, you know. It's the Ten of Pentacles. You're right on target. Long-term success. That's what you're focused on. Your contribution to that. Your financial security, your wealth, your family, your legacy. Some people may even call it their their heir, if you will. So that's what's happening right now. Let's see. Well, let me look at the thing because there's a, okay, so there's two different vibes here. So there's a vibe and an understanding. Trying to go into my life. Okay, so like it feels like all of these little things here in the thumbnail. It's not me, it's you. I don't like you anymore. No, it's not you, it's me. Oh yeah, it's not you, it's me. So it's not you, it's me. I don't like you anymore. And everybody has that, right? Like, I just don't like you anymore. I've changed my parameter restrictions or whatever's for deemed to be a likable person, and you don't meet those qualifications. It's not me, just kidding. It's totally you. It's not you, it's me. I'm good for you. And they're just messing. I don't have a cold or anything. Like, there's nothing going on. I got some tea because I knew they were going to like send throat chakra energy. People don't like, you know, the truth being revealed, you know, so to speak. That's why they were, you know, they claim that people who know how to read, who have a, you know, sixth sense, that we are, you know, like, I don't know, whatever it is y'all be saying. Because how do I know what you be saying? Anywho. I know what y'all be talking about. But, anywho. So, it's not you, it's me. I'm too good for you. People say you never know what you have until it's gone. Well, I know what I had, and I'm glad you're gone. And it's, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I just know that I am. And sometimes you have to come to that understanding too. Like, yeah, and it's like better at understanding something. Like, it's okay to know that you're better at something than someone else. I don't think that people should be making themselves to be if they are understanding, or, I mean, it's kind of like, are you going to look at a doctor and just assume that you're a doctor too? No, you may know your own body though. Right? That's a whole different perspective and understanding. That's the whole, you know, being in your anyway. But it's I'm sorry your 98th relationship didn't work out. I just can't imagine what you're doing wrong. Says, honey, I'm not saying I'm perfect. I'm saying you are way too flawed. Hi everybody that's coming. I'm sorry I didn't realize when you said you weren't like the rest of them that you were worse. That's just kind of the reality, I think, for a lot of people that, you know, a lot of us experience. Like, I don't feel like it's like anyone should hold themselves, you know, to some type of restriction or, you know, this or that because they feel like something else has been in play. This entity, this, you know, unlikable entity that everybody's been dating in this world is out there. Like, let's just be honest. I didn't even look and see what that's. Let's be honest. That's the reality. And we just have to, you know when, you know, we just have to underground, and it feels a lot like this. But really it isn't. It really isn't. It really isn't. Okay? And I think that's where a lot of us tend to identify most with each other too, is that we understand this, you know? And so getting to the other, the card that's disappeared now, is a little bit more difficult. And so then we tend to focus like this. But what's happening is because as you're doing that shadow work and the shadow work, and as you've healed everything and know where to say no, how to say no, that's a big part of it too, because it's not just saying no, it's how to say no as well. Also admitting like what's happened, admitting like when you felt. It's funny because I went out one night on Venice, and I was drinking, and I got on a skateboard, and I knew that when I was getting on the skateboard that I was gonna fall, because I don't really know how to ride a skateboard. So my friend was like, well, you fell down. And I was like, well, yeah, I kind of anticipated that I might fall down because I don't know how to ride a skateboard. And I'm out here in Venice trying to ride a skateboard, and I probably had like a beer or two. So yeah, you know, and it was just kind of like weird that people, you know, thought that like I thought that I was getting on this skateboard with the understanding and the attitude of, hey, I got this. And it's like, no, that's how you try things, right? And some people don't get that. People don't understand that like there's this whole process of trial and error, and there, you know, where you learn through that process on like, okay, what am I missing to that I've been trying to meet? And I think that's where most people struggle, is just identifying honestly where to take care of themselves. And I got into that really heavily when I started taking my spiritual baths. For me, it was a huge time, like identifying like who, what, where, when, why, how. You know, I felt like I wasn't in the right, you know, mindset when dealing with or emotions or whatever it is. And I started to just simply sit back and just check myself and get way back into me. And I think that's, I mean, I've said this before. I feel like we are often in this energy that we've obtained or kind of like inherited, even since we want to talk about that kind of stuff, of looking at things from a specific perspective, of seeing things, you know, from just one way, sometimes because that's what we know, and we need to change it, or you know what I mean, as opposed to like really looking for the lesson. I was just trying to, you know, manipulate my circumstances for me to win. Not against anyone. I want to be clear on that. Not against anyone, but just my own favor within my own right. Okay? Meaning like being diligent on my work. Okay? You know, being true to whatever the codes are that I agreed to, you know, the oath that I took when I was a, you know, those things were really important to me and always will be. You know, my word is my bond. You know what I mean? I don't play around with that. And so I feel like we should add for being loyal people more once we learn, and that's that whole spiritual bath. Once we learn how we're not, you know, really, yeah, we're not under any obligation to take advice from anybody else. We're not under any obligations to learn a lesson from anybody else. And it's really never a big deal, right? Because whose life is it? At the end of the day, other people are just looking. They're not really in you, right? That's the thing too. I put a post on Facebook today, and I'm just kind of a lengthy person if you haven't noticed. And it's because this morning I woke up with a song, as I typically do, right? And so this morning it was The Greatest Love of All by Whitney Houston, right? And the lyrics are all about self-love. Hi. All about self-love. And about how, like, as a child, I remember sitting and singing a song. And I was, you know, looking at the lyrics, and I played it this morning for my daughter. And she didn't get it too. At first she was okay, fine. And then like, wait, I have to hit home with her. You know what I mean? Just like all my other children, which is what I like, finding their currency, if you will. And with her, it's Stitch from Lilo and Stitch. And so she didn't notice or realize that the shirt that I own is Whitney Houston. And I don't tend to, you know, admire people, and she knows that. She knows that about me. And the fact that I had like a character or something, you know, from me that I was identifying that was an inspiration to me, it helped understand it. And then so later, even though she said she didn't want to listen to the song, but she listened to it. But later on, we were sitting there and we were having breakfast. She's all humming the song, excited, and because the words kind of, you know, penetrated her, and I was so about that. Because that's what we really want as parents, right? And the words are, you know, magnificent if you sit down and listen to them. But I also see how like people may be coming to the self-realization, or maybe be forced to realize where they got it wrong, all of that, how, when, where, all of that, in regards to how they've treated other people on this planet, because that's what the ascension is really about. It's people kind of, the vibrations taking a hold and existing in those spaces. And I want to be clear too, this isn't the new year. If you're really on the vibration of spirituality, the new year is March. Um, I think my birthday is, I don't even know it, because then we have this extra astrological sign, which I think I am a part of because I am on the cusp of Pisces and Aries, but let's not get into all that because that wasn't part. I just kind of wanted to remind everybody to mind their business too, because I feel like there are a lot of like, you know, I'm having these issues where it's like you block someone on one platform and so then they go over to the other and then they're like, it's like, can you please go? I put you for a reason. You know, if you're coming to my YouTube here, you're coming to get some inspiration, but if you're coming to be nosy and to try to like penetrate my energy and like, I don't like that stuff, you know, and people don't think that, you know, like even if they see me watch my stuff, 11:33 on the clock, I don't think they all the way get it. And it's like what I've always been. I've always been like that. It was just a lot to deal with, you know, because who else is like you? You feel, let me get this. You feel like, where's that card at? Oh, you like this one, even better. Right? In reality, that's where you end up, right? Because you've really got to focus on you. And then I did, and I learned a lot in my spiritual past, and I got the, you know, the understanding, and, you know, I followed all of the, you know, things that I believe and understand I was supposed to really dig my own, like they say, Akashic records. Imagine, you know, which is also part of that song too, because it's like, if you look at the lyrics are amazing. I was down into like, who wrote this? This is a lyrical genius. Because to me, it's kind of like, wow, you know, this is meant to be, you know, the part that we're all getting from this song. And I feel like for it to have come out at the time that it did, and then for the situation as it is with the generations that existed, that were parents and that were, you know what I mean, at that time, it's like, how did we get so far? That was something somebody else said too the other day. Oh, I was watching this movie. It's an older movie called, I think it's called The Gift, where the grandfather left the grandson something or something like that everybody else thought was, but the movie The Gift, right? And in the movie The Gift, it was the thing that they said when like everybody was coming in and they were talking about the family members, right? And they were like, yeah, it's funny how the apple can fall so far from the tree. And then somebody else came over and said, yeah, and then roll so much further after that. Because people don't realize, it's like, that's really kind of sometimes what happens to people when I feel like it's no one's really to blame. It's just kind of like, but if we don't fix it, then we are, right? If we don't fix the minds for ourselves and also share everything that we've learned so that others can do the same. And the part that people tend to have a problem with, like, they think that you're better than them only because you can acknowledge something from a perspective that they don't feel like you should be able to. You haven't experienced exactly what they have. And that came for me in the instance of, over the summer, I went to go stay with an old girlfriend that I knew from my hood. That she was like, I call her my girlfriend because she was older than me, but we hung out like girlfriends. I watched her child for her, so I was her babysitter. But she talked to me about a lot of stuff that I would have been talking to a 13, 14, 15-year-old about. But anywho, nonetheless, I went to go with her, and we were discussing things, and she really, you know, didn't agree with my spirituality. And I said, okay. And so I let her see all of my cards and everything and showed her what it was about. Showed her how, like, okay, well, I can use only these, you know, that, because to me, these aren't tarot, right? These are, you know, oracle cards. I also showed her a lovely set that I got from my grandmother, you know, who passed away. And these are, you know, her specific cards, you know. And a lot of people knew grandmother and knew of her and respected her, so they understood that. And she looked at them and she was just going through them. She said, I've never seen anything like this before in my life. And I believe that made her comfortable. At least comfortable enough to say, okay, I can't see how this would be wrong, or, you know, I can't see how this would hurt me. And it didn't, but it did make her some kind of way when we were discussing my life experience and what I was telling her, and just in the small little notion that she had cancer. She had battled cancer and she won, right? And she didn't like that. I mentioned to her that I understood that even like there is something like that money can't fix, you know, like when she had cancer, there are things that plague us that money simply cannot fix. And that's a struggle, right? In and of itself. And she didn't like that. She didn't like that I understood that, even though it's like, well, why shouldn't I? just because I didn't go through whatever you went through to experience that understanding. And that's the part that pisses me off. Because people think that because you haven't experienced something, you have the lack of depth of love and understanding and compassion and consideration, or just life experience in general, to not understand these things. And that's what pisses me off. You know, that's the one thing that I don't like about this journey so much. You know? And a lot of us are also understanding this. And I know that's the message that I'm trying to make sure other people understand. Like, it doesn't matter, you know, whatever else anybody else has to say about you. Stand your ground, you know. People may not like it, you know. Someone, you know, like recently somebody reached back out to me that, you know, was asking me all these business questions and, you know, confirming things for business, etc., etc. But when it came down to do business, they used somebody else. And it was just kind of like, consider yourself a friend, but you don't do business with me? You consider yourself, you know, my sister from church, and our children play together, and you literally moved down the street from me. So that, okay. But yeah, these are just a lot of different things that, like, you know, our life experiences do shape us, but I feel like they're supposed to help us understand where to place people and which people are supposed to be in our lives and people aren't. And that's the biggest struggle that most people face, because nobody wants to lose the people that are with them all the time, right? Nobody wants to child. Nobody wants to lose a parent. Nobody wants to lose a sibling. Nobody wants to use a cousin. You know, because for some people, the cousin is the closest thing that they have to a sibling, right? Because they don't have them. I know I didn't have any siblings. So for me, cousins were all I knew. And on one side of the family, I was the only girl, with the exception of, you know, second cousin girls. And then on the other side, it was like I was the only one for like a 15-year span before me and after me. So I just came in this really awkward space, you know, for the entire family on both sides, you know, with respect to dynamics and things. And I guess maybe they felt like, maybe because of that, there was a lot of attention on me. You know what I mean? And maybe people did see me as someone who felt like I was guilt-free, you know, maybe in my walk of life or something like that. But in all honesty, I was like, I don't know, I feel like I was declaring my love and my happiness maybe just for life in general. And people maybe didn't know how to accept that from something so small too, because that's what I heard about when I could you know, when I sang. It was like your voice was just so big, and it was like, I don't know, the response didn't seem appropriate, but I know there's a lot in my story. A lot of photo proof, if you will. And a lot of it does have to do with this too, you know, that I don't care to be perfect. I just want to be honest. You know, that's the biggest thing for me. And again, this is what leads to this. This is what gets you in this Ten of Pentacles energy, is just figuring out all of those Ten of Pentacles lessons, you know, getting to know all about you. Like me, you know, it's really, you know, getting into oneself and totally having this awakening. Oh, that was the thing that I often say is keeps popping out. That's what I keep often seeing, is that we're born, and normally when we're born, we're spanked on the behind, right? And we're, you know, stimulated, in my opinion. It is a stimulation of sorts, and for lack of better words, or, you know, understanding a way to explain it, that's what I call it. Because there's all these different stimulations, from colors, from this, from that, you know, sounds, etc., right? That's why we have things like autism, correct? Okay, so, or have to understand things like autism. So, with that being said, it's all of those little colorings of life. You know, some people, mom shielded them from ever getting burned by the oven. Some people's moms was like, go for it. Very first time. Maybe they had abused children. They were like, okay, they're going to learn it anyway. You know, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know, you know? And that these things all tend to shape our lives. Some people may be 3 children that grow up in the same house and they have totally different experiences, right? Yeah. Think of it, right? Yeah. There's no justification needed for being who you being different, and you know what I mean? That's the part that I don't understand. And I feel like people, yeah, this is the energy. There are a lot of people who are going to be leaving these relationships too. That's probably why that thumbnail was there. A lot of people leaving from relationships that they're reading these things about themselves because their person is like so caught up in an image. That was the thing too. There's this young guy who's a football player, and man, he's a new young football player, and he's already engaged and everything. I see where he's trying to go, you know, and I see that he really loves this young lady, but he's under Deion Sanders or something like that. I don't know. I was going to do a reading other thing. That's the other thing too. These readings are getting really stale. Like, we understand that this is happening to these people. We get it. We hope that they have, you know, the ability to kind of help their inner child with whatever it is that they're going to be experiencing at this time. I mean, in all honesty, that's all we can do. But we're not called to help them heal. We're not, look, because we're in our own world, right? And that's where we're supposed to be. That's exactly where we're supposed to be. Like I keep saying, exactly where we're supposed to be. And so there's no shame in that. You know, people are moving on and upwards and stuff like that. And I know that my understanding and the acknowledgement of the fact that spring was in a different, spring was the actual new year, came, like, my knowledge of it came prior to my acceptance of it. And that's the thing I think people are going to be struggling with this, you know, to go around in spring, because it's like, if you're just starting on the walk, then you might be entering that spring where, you know, and granted, I don't know where everybody's, you know, declaration of love to themselves is at this point, and what people are faced with having to leave behind. Yeah, what, I don't know, you know, but essentially that's what's being called for at this point in time, you know, and there's no justification needed. I feel like this is some people actually taking off a mask too, like taking off, you know, maybe even all this makeup and stuff, or people realizing like what they thought they wanted isn't really what they wanted. And I think that's totally okay, because what tends to happen is we often get distracted and don't even realize that it's buy stuff that we think we want just because it's available to us, or it feels fun, or that's what everybody else is doing, or, you know, it seems appropriate for what we're experiencing at said time. Because that may be why a lot of people get into situationships that they do lead to other situations, right? Is because it's like, oh, okay, I'm only, you know, available for this, and, you know, I don't know. You know, if you're out there dating, because, you know, and that's a part of the other part too. The divine beings really do have to be solidly to themselves, and abstaining, and not, you know, doing, you know, fornicating. There's none of that. Look, because it's this. You can't. So if you need to, because a part of it is isolation. That's a huge part of it. Like, think about when you're in a bath. You're not in there with everybody, are you? And if you are, it's not the page for you, because I'm going to go into everything you think. But nonetheless, at the end of the day, it's like, it is about that. It is about that. That's the only way to relieve the pressure of whatever it is, whatever the affliction is, because that's all I can call it. An affliction, a demonic oppression, whatever it is. Whether it be depression, whether it be anxiety, whatever it is. And sometimes you have to honestly start checking the people around you too. Because, like, if you're not ready to cut yourself off in a big way for people to really isolate and, like, get to know yourself, you have to be comfortable with actually checking people and saying, are you okay? Are you okay? I think you'll find out a lot in doing that. Because I started doing that to people that were coming at me, and I was just kind of like, yo, what is this energy? Like, I don't understand this. And when I would ask that direct question, are you okay? I would get back, no, not really. This is my first Christmas without my mother. And and it was just kind of like, God. And I just realized, like, there's way too much stuff out here. I don't want to deal with that. I don't even know this guy, but he feels like I'm the answer to whatever this is, but he's really nasty in my DMs. Not like nasty and like, oh, give me this and give me that, but like, you know, this like arrogance, you know, I don't know, but looking for my nurturing capability because he'd lost his mother. And it didn't make sense. How are you abusing me? So maybe there was something in him that abused his mom, like didn't appreciate his mom, and it was, I don't know, but that's why I started to move myself out of the whole arena of being someone that people really had access to. There's stuff like that happening because people, you know, getting mad, thinking that I'm still messing with somebody that we found out we were both messing with, and I have nothing to do with this person, and they're now. I started to notice too, because I'd be watching stuff and I'm like, wait a minute. But the first thing that they tend to ask people when something happens to them is, were you really dating someone? I wonder why that is. And we've been alluding to the fact that this dating had people that were available and appropriate for relationships. And I don't think that I've really questioned that about themselves yet. Like, am I even relationship ready? Have I given myself of all the drama and trauma that I've been experiencing? Because I really do deserve abundance. I really do deserve this, magical life, where I'm Puff the Magic Dragon or whatever the hell it is. Yeah, that's a part of it too. Yeah, that's a part of it too. Some people don't want to face it too. Like, that's the hard part of it. Because that's what you tend to run into, is that people want to stay in this party mode, which only keeps you unawake and unaware. And it's not just that you can't party and stuff, but it's like you have to know who you are, really get with your actual soul tribe in order to be able to party your heart out. Like you see this as a child in this instance, right? So it's all of those walks. It's that walk through that experience life. It's that walk through, understanding things. Like I said, understanding things, and this is on the back. And so that's the big bit, you know. And I think people, just constantly discount it, are jealous of it because it exists and happens for some people versus, and that's that whole mindset of the people where, well, that's why that thing is out where people say, oh, yeah, don't be worried about whether or not you're, it's that, like if you're at the restaurant ever and you're waiting for your food and all these other plates get served, what I heard from collective though is like the collective ain't tripping because the collective already knows, like, we're putting in our order, but they're back there actually closing down the kitchen so that we can open up and have our own private party. And that's what people didn't know, because we decided to be so patient and everybody to, and call in a favor and say they were, supposed to, in and have this table and da 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 da. Oh, you want to get in now? Okay, you want to get right now? Okay. Well, they were here. Well, we okay. And the people that went along with these kind of things, it's almost kind of like the same energy. Not almost kind of, it's the same energy. Same energy. So as a result, it was kind of decided on by the restaurateur and, whoever else was involved. I think this is kind of appropriate because, Fancy's been sitting there. Fancy and her party have been sitting there and they've kind of been really accommodating. And let's go ahead and let their party stay. It's only about, 144 of them. We'll close it down. Take all their orders and get all their stuff ready and make sure you know which tables. Give them some free, apps while you bring out the last verse. It's that type of energy, real first class, luxury service, real, you deserve that because of so many reasons. And, this is what's going on. Meanwhile, people may even be sitting there like, yep. Not even knowing that, like, there are trucks coming from across town with extra food and all these things because they know what you guys like. That filet. That filet be good, don't it? Don't start about food. I don't even want to pick up that deck. It's so funny. We're such foodies. My daughter is like, she wants that deck that has food stuff on it. I'm like, no. Funny too, because I loved martinis back in the day. Oh. Different life. But I think that's the wonderful part about it. Like, when you really get to know you, you can really, 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 yep, look. It was in the reverse, the devil card. When you get out of that energy of materialism, it helps you to also not have a lack mindset, right? Because when you don't value things like that in the same way that other people do, it's, oh, that's what kept coming up. Okay, so I don't know why Venice is coming up so much, but when I was on Venice, like I am really that type of person that like likes things that don't exist. So when I say like money can't buy some of the things that I actually want, yeah. Because there's this time that I was in Venice and this guy came, and he had been up in the desert or something, he said, somewhere, and they were foraging all of this like wild sage bundles that he had were like this big and like this thick, so like, almost like the size of like a spray can, if you will. And he had them, and he had like 3, and he was like, I'll do all 3 for $10. That was the best buy of my life. Those things were so amazingly fragrant. And it's like there's this other thing, this juniper ball, but I think I can maybe find it or make the juniper ball on my own. But it's like whatever the ball is, I don't even know if that's really what it was. But what it is, it's actually very much used for exorcism. So I feel like in the work that I'm called to do and helping people to cleanse themselves in like different times, because it's not like you have to know when it's time for certain things too, because some people may be out here doing this cleanse or that cleanse, and it's not time for that cleanse because the lesson that you're being faced with actually matches up with a different cleanse. I don't think that people really get that. Some people may just be focusing like, oh, I'm just gonna keep trying this abundance, and they think that it's like manifesting the new job is where spirit wants them to be, and then they don't understand why this job isn't working out. So there are a lot of layers to it, right? And ultimately, it's a part of being able to recognize that, getting the understanding of the lesson that we need to learn, understanding like what we're supposed to be doing mentally, spiritually, emotionally, physically as well. Because I don't want to, neglect that body part of us, because our body matters. And I think a lot of people forget that, whether it's being healthy or whether it's staining, whatever it is. It's all a part of it. It's a part of the purification process to make sure that you're in the right divine order for that alignment. Because we can't align you with something so wonderful if you really aren't ready for it, right? I'm just saying. So I feel like those who are aligned in alignment and who have gotten to the Ten of Pentacles is what came out for the collective as the actual tarot card, for what we're about, what we're doing, where we are right now. Ooh, that wasn't even a burp, that was air. Somebody's really trying to attack my throat chakra, but it's cool. No, it's not. That's the other thing too. People are going to learn to keep your name out their mouth. I feel like some people are instantly realizing that they've exposed themselves when they start to talk about it. So if people got your name in their mouth, what's happening is you've had one of those moments where, I don't know, because that's kind of hard for us, but maybe we have, yeah, where you've said something, but then you've realized like, oh damn, that kind of revealed my part in this too, like where I'm wrong at, and maybe you didn't want to be seen as such, you know what I mean? And to me, that's what's happening with a lot of people. A lot of people are out there feeling that way because they're starting to talk mess about you, and as soon as they start talking mess about you, yep, as soon as they start talking mess about you, it's kind of like they say what they're saying, and then the next thing you know, they realize what they've said, and that the person that they were saying it to realized who they are, and that there's no going back from there. And from that moment on, that person changes with them. It's one of those type of energies, like, uh-oh. And so then this person is like, oh. It's going to be a lot of that for people too. Slowly realizing like, dang, I gotta, I don't know. Because it's maybe even to do with like a lot of people who, that's what I saw before I started this. Like people thinking that there's such a thing as toxic love. Explain that. Explain how unhealthiness is a part of love. I'm waiting. Comments is a good section for that. No. Healthy. No. Doesn't, no. They don't mix. And that's what I think people can't seem to wrap their head around. They're like, oh, this person really loves you, and they regret this, and they regret that. And that's the part of the falsity and illusion that some people can keep themselves in, is thinking that a past person really regrets what they did, or that they love them and this and that. The person has to love themselves first. And the reason people don't handle you right when they have you is because they do not love themselves in that moment. They don't love themselves enough. And that's the problem. That's why people need to go and take this seat back and really start to do this spiritual cleansing of oneself for purity, where your heart is as light as a feather, so that you can be loved and receive love. Because that's the vibration that really opens you up to everything. Because that's the one that they distorted the most. True or false? Get on the comments if you want to debate it. True or false? So like I said, a lot of people realizing, oh, you know what? Even though I'm an icy, I don't belong with this other icy. These two colors, I don't belong with this other icy. But it's okay, because I can leave that, I can go ahead and still be with this You know, I can be two-colored icy and be with a watermelon. Which is funny because my daughter and I, we went out last night and I got a watermelon slushie and it was so good. She didn't want anything because she didn't think it was going to be good, but it was. And she was, yeah, I want it. So I think I keep telling her I won't steer her wrong with food. It's just she does have her own palate. And I think that's another thing too. A part of like where people don't understand how to let other people have their independence. Like that mindset of where it's like, eat everything on your plate. What if it makes them regurgitate? Which some people have sat there with their babies and like videotape their babies regurgitating on food that they didn't like. I would instantly take it out of my child's mouth because it didn't taste good to them. It wasn't a part of this that works with whatever it is that they have. You know? And so, I don't know, it's just kind of like that thing. You know? It's like the force feeding. And I feel like a lot of people are starting to realize that, you know, who the force feeding energies are. You know, where, you know, they need to cut ties, they need to, you know, move in or move out. Move in or move out, but you saw that in the cards earlier. And that's what's happening. For sure. Everybody's, you know, balancing out their scales and really figuring out what it is. And then maybe even, you know, I don't know, maybe making sure everybody's, because I feel like making sure everybody's that's supposed to be surrendering, that's what's at play right now. And then for the collective, it's just kind of you acclimating. It's an acclimation. Because think about it, like if you're traveling from planet to planet, right? That's going to be an acclimation. This whole process has been an acclimation, right? So the very end of it, think about it like when your plane lands, when you make that impact, it's not, you know what I mean? It is, you know what I mean? Like a softer landing depends on your pilot is, and you're your best pilot. So if you've aligned, it's going to be a smooth landing, right? Because if not, you're not going to land. I'm just telling you like it is. It was 8:38 on the clock. You're not going to land. So if you're not in alignment and you're being called to it, I would focus on an alignment means with yourself. Balancing you. It's really the you against you, right? Yeah. I really like this. I get like there's just an abundance, and that's what causes people to have like this, you know, contention with you on what you have, because they feel like you have too much. You shouldn't have everything and more. It just feels like you have too much. And I don't feel like it's for them to determine that. And that's why things happen the way they do. Because it's all about being serious about yourself and what you deserve, and you value yourself, what you can maintain, what you cannot maintain. Because I feel like that's what a lot of people get to at a certain point in your journey. It's like being in certain people's energies. It's just like, it is toxic. Let's just say that. It is toxic, right? Your stomach starts to hurt. You're, you know, annoyed and like irritated. Like I'm itching and stuff now, you know? But that's the reality of it. Think about it. When you hear about other people's relationships, like when I see these people in the public eye going through these tumultuous relationships like Cardi B and, you know, all these different things going on in like the media about these people, I've been in situations similar to that. And I know how it feels when you have someone that's cheating on you, when you have someone that's like, you know, not in a relationship, you know, you've been solid the whole time. And it's just kind of like, okay, at a certain point, you just don't want to be in those energies anymore. And people have to accept that too, because there's a lot of ways that people can cheat you. You know, I've had friends cheat me. You know what I mean? So not just money, like they weren't really my friends, you know? So that's the biggest part at the end of the day, right? Is if somebody's not really your friend and they're cheating you out of a friendship by pretending, right? Pretending to have your back. Pretending to be there with you to try to measure and do this and do that and get whatever we're supposed to get. But in reality, you know, so at the end of the day, it's kind of like some people are able to accept that and have moved on. Some people aren't, and they're going to be stuck in cycles of lessons. Because that's really all it is. It's like it just continues to be a cycle of it getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse, right? Until it's like, boop, boop, all of a sudden, they're like, oh, dang it. Right? Mm-hmm. They start to realize, like, oh, I was a little too, I probably shouldn't have done this, huh? Oh, dang, this is probably why I'm experiencing this right now. Oh, man, this is probably why this is happening over here. Oh, dang. I didn't realize that this was going on. So, ultimately, that's where other people are right now, you know, and the collective is here in this fortune cookies of stores, you know. And that's all that, you know, to be expected. No one's good with what other people are doing. Well, that was another thing. Like, I'm probably not going to do as much over here because this really is boring. Like, these people not healing is not our concern. I'm going to go do entertainment readings on these celebrities and, you know, go do entertainment things over there because this is boring. This is really boring. People not like getting it. This is really boring. At least these people who are in the public eye are sometimes looking to make sure they clear themselves. Because that's a part of their destiny too. And they know that. Queen of Pentacles was what's pulling out, right? So a lot of people are realizing, like I said, I'm not attached to the right person. I need to move on. You know what I mean? I'm with the Queen of Wands and I should be with the Queen of Pentacles. You know what I mean? Queen of Wands is on some old, you know, throuple energy, and then the extra piece is on the side, and that's really burdening me, and I can't get to where I want to go and be what I want to be. I can't be a sangria. So at the end of the day, you know, everybody's life experiences is colored with whatever their life experience is colored with, and nobody should feel ashamed for accepting their life experience and growing from it and being able to maintain valuable relationships. Enjoy, you know, loyal and, what is this? Loyal and respectful and considerate and compassionate relationships with people of both sex, not just because, you know, we're into something like dating other people. No, we can actually have, you know, 2 cups with people that we do business with, people that we help inspire, people you know, this people always want to make it seem 44:11 on the clock. People always want to make it like it's, oh, it's just a romantic this or endeavors, and no, it's literally going to be everything, like your whole new soul tribe. What do you think all this good work, what do you think going into the mud to get the lotus is for? Like, why do you think this beautiful delicate flower is in the mud? It's the most nourishing and, you know, plentiful place for this beautiful flower to grow. Who has any right in trying to change that? 40 o'clock. Who has any right in trying to change that, though? I'm just saying, nobody. So that's really what's, look, I'm going to end it here. That's really what's playing out right now. That's why I'm going to go do other things. If I get called to do more readings over here, I will. I'm called to do any more readings over here at this time. I feel like this is supposed to be what it is. You know, everybody knows their truth and what they're moving forward and how to accept, you know, new relationships and what those look like. They've united with their soul tribes. They've made their connections and they unified together with them. And they're moving on lickety split. All right, I hope this has been helpful and insightful in some way, shape, or form. I'll catch you later.